Hey guys, this is Paul from Passion Consulting, and welcome to the first part of my summary and my Scrum Guide overview. So what I really want to do in this first part is tell you so that you know why it's important to understand and what's in the Scrum Guide in depth. And I also want you to understand how that's going to help you when you go forward to do an exam, or even if you're not doing an exam, how it's really going to help you in your everyday work using Scrum. So the first thing I've highlighted here is in the Scrum Guide, and is the fact that the Scrum Guide, which was written by Jeff Sutherland and Ken Schwarber, is the definitive guide to Scrum and the rules of the game. And you may ask, why is that important? Well, the reason why that's important is because from my experience in the industry, one of the number one reasons why people go wrong with Scrum is because they don't really truly understand the foundation. What you've just seen Ted explain is an overview. What I'm going to be doing is going through the exact Scrum rules, excerpts from the Scrum Guide, which may be things people are getting confused about in industry or in the exam, especially when you go towards a Scrum certification. So the first thing I want to draw out here is that this is the rule book, guys. This is what you need to read and understand if you want to be doing Scrum correctly. If you deviate from this, and don't get me wrong, in life there are always common sense reasons for doing things, and I always say if common sense tells you to do it or not to do it, and it really does go against something in here, and it really is common sense, then think about whether you really want to do that. But I never have, and I can't remember a situation where I have had to completely contravene one of these rules. This is the first thing I want to say, is that this is the definitive guide. So really understand this book, the Scrum Guide. The next thing I want to do is to draw your attention to something. It's the fact that when Ken and Jeff wrote this originally, there were some minor changes. Some would say major, but I think they are subtle but distinct changes. And this was done in July of 2013. So this is the newest revision, I might add, at the current time of me recording this, of the book, of the guide. And it's just, important to know there was a revision. So where in the video I mentioned the original Scrum Guide and some of the wording is slightly different, that's because there was a revision, at least one revision before this. The next thing I want to draw your attention to is just to reiterate that the purpose of the Scrum Guide, written here, highlights that the Scrum framework is for developing and sustaining complex products. And the reason why I wanted to highlight that is because if you're doing something really simple, like building a web page, or something really quick, then it may be overkill for you to use Scrum. Because planning out with a team building a web page, having a retrospective on building a web page, having a sprint review on building a web page, in some cases may well be overkill if the web page is simple. There are some situations in which you may want to do that, but the key thing I want to draw out here is that Scrum is the most effective if you're doing something complex, okay? That doesn't mean you can't use it for something simple, but it was built for doing something complex.